So we will start where we left last time. So remember the last time we spoke about a few things about how this soul is a journeyman, how this soul is in, there were two examples given. So the first example that was given was about the sheep, the shepherd, the tourist who comes and stays with the shepherd, and he soon forgets that he is himself a tourist, and he can leave anytime he wants. And the true significance of that is that if we come to the core of realization that we are not this character that we play, but we are this soul, then the soul has the free will to leave this character anytime it wants. But we are stuck to this character. So the second time is the second example given was that of the passengers in a public transport, say a bus. So when the stop comes, the people get down, more people get on. But it is the same way. The bus is going towards a particular place, which means that the journey of this character that we are playing is already scripted. So I remember Ramana Maharishi in this. You remember the famous saying of Ramana Maharishi, which goes like, whatever has to happen will happen, no matter how much you do not want it to happen. Whatever is not going to happen will not happen, no matter how much you want it to happen. So in this scenario, what do we do? What do we do? The only thing that we can do is to be a spectator. How do we become a spectator? When we realize that we are not this character. A lot of things are happening with this character. There are good things happening, bad things happening, good people around you, bad people around you. Life is a mixture, right? It's never the same. And no matter which person it is, even an enlightened soul has all these circumstances that he has to or she has to deal with. Now in such a scenario, the only thing that we can do is to be in the realization of the truth. And what is the truth? Is that we are an amsha of Paramatma. And we are not this soul. So when we understand this, one of the things that we will realize is that as a character, we are all incomplete. So in understanding this, there was a third example given, which was that of a carpet. So if we go close to the carpet, we will only see the design. This design, we will see that there are threads which are interweaving. We are like that thread. So by definition, the character is only a part of the design of the carpet. It always feels incomplete. Why does it always feel incomplete? Because it doesn't realize that it is a part of the entire carpet. The soul knows, but the character is a part of the design of the carpet. But the soul is a part of the entire carpet. So if we keep ourselves, thinking that we are that character, then we will forever be incomplete in this design itself. We will never be able to rise above the design. But if we understand that we are the soul, then the character has to go in and out. Let it go. That is fine. We will remain. It is not easy to remain emotionless. Then you are faking it. So we are not even talking about remaining emotionless, but we are talking about all the time reinforcing that this is an illusion. So whatever happens is an illusion. Whether it is in a dream state or in a waking state, forever it is a dream. So I will tell another story. I think this is one of my favorite stories where there is a king who has a very strong dream. In the dream, he sees that the enemies have attacked him and he had to run away from the palace. So there, the entire enemy soldiers are everywhere, hunting him down. So he has to leave that entire kingdom and go through the forest. He doesn't have any food or water. Finally, he arrives at the neighboring kingdom where nobody recognizes him. And from there, he becomes a beggar. So he has to beg for a living. From a king, he becomes a beggar. So he wakes up and suddenly he realizes that he is still in his palace. But that dream is so strong that he keeps asking anybody who comes, क्या ये सच या वो such? That is his only question. So the courtiers are not able to understand what it is, and soon this happens day after day. He is just sitting on the throne in the court, and he keeps asking, क्या ये सच या वो सच? So this spreads throughout the kingdom, and they think that the king is going mad. So then an enlightened rishi is passing by, and he overhears that something like this is happening. So he goes into the court, and there he is welcomed by the courtiers, and the rishi stands in front of him, and the king asks him the same, क्या ये सच या वो सच? So the rishi answers, ना ये सच ना वो सच, सिर्फ तुम सच. What does it mean? That neither this is real nor that is real. What is tum here? Tum he is referring to as the soul. Sirf tum sach, which means that the soul can take a character here. The soul, when it is so, if you were since you have not been a part of this these stories, Lord Hanuman talks about how when we go into our sleep, there is a separate planet called Swapnaloka. Call it as a planet, call it as a dimension. This Swapnaloka is light years away from Bhuloka, which is this planet. So how is it that the soul is able to traverse from Bhuloka when we go to sleep to Swapnaloka, which is light years away in a different universe, in a different galaxy, and come back? Which means that the soul knows. It is able to. So there is a story which we usually revisit called this thing of the science of desire fulfillment. In this, Lord Hanuman explains to us on how all our unfulfilled desires are fulfilled in Swapnaloka, in the dream state. So do not come back and think that, oh, something I saw a dream, so that dream must be real. No. Think that whatever you saw in the dream has had to happen in this. You did not have the karma for it to happen. So your desire has been fulfilled in Swapnaloka. So that is the real significance of the dream. Right? I'll give you an example. So I was doing a lot of paranormal research on ghosts. What are the different what levels of spirits are there? At what level of that spirit, what powers do they possess? All of that. And then I had a you can call it, what do you say? They say sleep paralysis, right? Where you are going to sleep, but you feel that there is somebody. There is a presence, a heavy presence on you, and you are not able to speak. But have you felt that before, sleep paralysis? So I feel that while science has been able to explain it as sleep paralysis, there is also another element to it which is real. Because I always have this tavis of Lord Hanuman. When I went to sleep that night, I had experienced this long back, maybe 15 years ago. And it has always, and I experienced it twice, and always it was a heavy weight on my chest. But this time, because of this, it did not come on my chest. I was lying back, I was lying on my side, and I felt it on my side and back, this region. So obviously, what I was very deep into, I did not see a spirit in the real world. But that desire of seeing something or experience something got fulfilled in my Swapnaloka. And Lord Hanuman mentions it here. Those who want to see, in the similar way, I was so, and this happened last about a year and a half ago. And then my life changed, and I was in this mode. And I was so deeply into it that I saw Lord Krishna in my dream as well. So maybe my desire to see Lord Krishna was so, I was reading that book of Krishna Ek Rahasya. It was so strong that again, he came into my dream. I saw him in my dream. So dream state is different. But the point I'm trying to make is that the soul is so powerful that it is able to make that journey from this character to whatever character that we take up in Swapnaloka, experience it and come back here. In a similar way, doesn't the soul know to leave this character and go into another character where it feels that the learning has to happen? It can, right? So that is what Lord Hanuman is always talking about, that do not think that this character is the only reality. Do not think that this world that you see is the only reality. There are multiple dimensions of reality. So that is what we will try and conclude now.
Before starting, I have a question. You mentioned that you have that desire, but what about those for which you don't have a desire? You still see those dreams, right?
Correct. The reason for that is there are hundreds and thousands of desires that we have accumulated from our previous births. So when we read that chapter, you will know Lord Indra says that there are many such desires which I am holding, which when I am only sure that I cannot give it to you in this birth, in this, in this plane, Bhuloka, I will give it to you in Swapnaloka. The same way, he says that there are many pain that I am holding. So one is a pleasure, one is an experience. So different experiences. So there is an experience of pain that I am holding for you, which I cannot give you here in this birth, which I will give it to you in Swapnaloka. And also karma plays a very important part here. See, just because you have a desire, your karma has to support you in experiencing that desire. That is why they say that if you have, now here is a very powerful statement that I am making, please understand the significance of it. Whenever you have a desire, do not try and put all your karmas into it. Because if, let's say, you have the desire of being very wealthy, I'll give you that as an example. Now, the desire to be very wealthy is something which has to probably accumulate over births for you to maybe take a birth in a family which is already rich, right? But what do? We say that, okay, I am from a middle class family. I want to have a monthly income of 5 lakh or 10 lakh plus, and I will put my effort into it. Now, when you put your effort into it, you are also drawing from all your karma account. What happens? What you could have drawn with all your good karma account to move towards Paramatma, you are putting it in, moving towards becoming wealthy. What has happened as a result? All your good karmas have been exhausted in worldly pursuits.
ड्रीम में जैसे जाते हैं, राजा का जो था वो ड्रीम देखा, बट वहाँ पे भी तो राजा ही कैरेक्टर रहता है ना, कैरेक्टर कहाँ छोड़ता है वो, कैरेक्टर भी तो वही रहता है।
नहीं, तो स्वप्नलोक जो है उसमें जब हम आते हैं वो उजागर होता है। वो स्वप्नलोक एक काला दुनिया है, उसमें कुछ नहीं है। जब हम जाते हैं अपने डिज़ायर्स को लेके, तो वहाँ पे एक्चुअली वो एक चैप्टर में है कि कौन सा चैप्टर है वो, जब उसकी उर्मी को पता है, जब उर्मी को वो ये आते रहते हैं, मे बी यू weren't there for it. So to answer in short, Swapnaloka is a dark world, there is nothing there. When we go there with our desires, our character comes alive and our soul goes, occupies that, and that goes forward. There is nothing, Swapnaloka is blank. So all the characters that we see in Swapnaloka coming up, right? You might see so many other characters. We bring all that along with us. Any other questions? All right. So,
What is that?
Thoughts only comes in the dream.
sorry.
What you imagine, what you feel,
Correct.
so that will impress you something.
Absolutely. Well, there was a time when I was playing Counter-Strike in my hostel days. And there were so many times that I would keep dreaming that I am in Counter-Strike world even in my dream. So, what your predominant thoughts, will usually come in your dream because that's your predominant thought. When you do not have any predominant thoughts, then your question holds true, where your previous birth's desires start getting fulfilled. That's why they say there are two things if you have to take away from whatever I have told you just now. Two things. One is, do not make strong desires and put all your effort in it.
Specific also, not that specific.
And don't make specific desires as well. Right? Because if it is a specific desire, then what happens? Lord Indra says you do not have the karma for you to live that particular desire in this birth. So I don't have a choice, I'll give it to you in Swapnaloka. So if you want to, let's say, own a car and be rich and do whatever, right? Just express that desire and leave it. Do not say, I want it now, I want it before 5 years, I want to live that in the next 10 years. No. When as your karma enables you, it will either be in this birth or next birth. So do not, first of all, if possible, do not express desires. If you are expressing a desire, express a generic desire, not specific. If you are expressing a specific desire also, do not put a timeline to it. That is with respect to desires. Now with respect to karma, or I wouldn't say karma, I should say purushartha or effort. If you put a specific desire and you say, I'm going to put all my effort into it, you are drawing upon your karma account. So do not do that as well. Put all your efforts in this world. If you want to ask Lord for anything, let your desire be, oh Lord, give me bhakti. Now, I always ask him only one thing, that let me forever be connected to you. मैं सदा आपके चरण कमलों से जुड़ा रहूं. That's it. That is all. That is the one and the only desire you should have. No other desire. Because if Lord is there in your life, you will be blessed with abundance. It is like asking for something very specific when there is an ocean there and you are saying, I want to drink a glass of water. Or there is a river flowing and you say, my desire is for that glass of water or that fresh water. Right? When you could be swimming in a river. So if you have the multi of Lord, you will be swimming in that river of bliss.
One question regarding that Swapnaloka. What is that the loved ones who are not in, means they are already died, coming into in the dream?
That is your desire to see them that is happening there. See, Swapnaloka is not existing independent of you. Swapnaloka is what you are bringing to that universe. Into
Even
that.
though we are not thinking about them, but still they come into our dreams.
See, sometimes there could be a message that is being passed on to you by them. Alright, so for example, there was, it happened where my mom's friend who passed away, she was coming in the her daughter's dream. And when they were contacted, right, the pujari then said that it was the Antim Sanskara has not gone well. She has not gone to that other plane, the Sadgati. We always say, whenever there is a death, we always say, Dirgha Sadgati Praptirastu. So that Sadgati is for the soul to move to the next dimension. That spirit realm they call it. So when that hasn't happened, that is also one of the things that they pass on as this thing. Just let it go, it will go. So that is also this thing. But if there is, but you have to be very judicious in knowing whether it is your desire that you are seeing. If otherwise, because I have seen my grandparents to whom I was very attached. I literally grew up with them because both my parents were working. Right? I have seen them in my dreams many times, but there is nothing to it. It is my desire and I know that because I miss them many times and I see them in my dream. It is my desire. Unless there is a repetitive dream that you see, then there is a significance to it. There is a repetitive dream with a message. So Lord Hanuman replied, if nothing is cut out, how does a character come into existence? Okay, let me just Yeah, I think this is where we left off, so we'll go back and read it. Imagine an infinitely large thread. Imagine that it has been woven in complicated patterns to make an infinitely large white sheet. If you saw the sheet as a whole, it would look plain. If you went closer and looked at a small portion of the sheet, you would see a complicated pattern. You would see the thread emerging in and out of that portion several times. You wouldn't be able to keep your eyes set on the fixed boundary of that portion. Your eyes would slide along the incomplete pattern to look for the complete and whole, isn't it? If we are tied to this pattern, we will always try to see what else is there. So that is what the character by definition is trying to do, which is to complete itself. If I have more money, I'll be complete. If I have this, I'll be complete. If I have something else, I'll be complete. When a soul wants to get attached to a character that has just become a king, it just wants to experience how it feels to be in his position, right? On the other hand, when a character wants to become a king, he is under the belief that when he became a king, he would become complete, right? So do you see the difference? A soul knows that a character can't become complete because characters are incomplete by definition. In fact, the soul itself chooses an incomplete portion of the space-time to experience the feelings and movements that the whole lacks altogether. Which means that we have chosen this. Whenever there is so I'm not sure how many of you were there in that one chapter where Lord Hanuman goes to Brahmaloka. He goes to Vishnuloka. Vishnuloka, there are infinite number of souls. So for a soul to come, so in the middle of it, Lord Vishnu is sitting on his bed of serpents. And he's communicating telepathically with billions, trillions of souls. So Lord Hanuman prays to Brahma and asks Brahma's hand to come into his Gada. So then he takes the Gada and he stirs in that ocean of souls. And one soul comes up. And immediately, like a bird, it flies away. It takes the body of a deer and it flies away. Because when that stirring happens, then a soul gets a desire. That desire, it will communicate with Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu then says, in order for you to complete this desire, based on your karma, you will be taking birth in this loka. There are countless lokas, by the way. Akhanda Koti Brahmanda Nayaka. There are countless lokas, but he'll say, go to this loka, in this body, based on your karma, this is your life. So the soul, character. So the soul chooses that and it goes to live that. Right? So that's why Lord Hanuman says that in fact the soul itself chooses an incomplete portion of the space-time coordinate to experience the feelings and movements that the whole lacks altogether. Once you become whole, what is there? Are there any emotions? Nothing. There is only bliss. There is no incomplete feeling. When you don't have an incomplete feeling and you are a part of the whole, what do you experience? You only experience bliss. In fact, if you remember in the group, I shared that experience of Swami Vivekananda feeling when he attained enlightenment. Did you go through that? You are not a part of the group, right? So this thing when we were talking about, did you go through it? Please go through it. I mean, when I share certain things, it has a lot of relevance with what we have discussed. Where Swami Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa places his hand and he is able to transfer that urja to him. And suddenly he goes into trance where he is able to experience the whole. The body and the mind is not able to hold that experience. See, in order to become enlightened, the body, it's like saying that it's a 40 watts bulb and you have put 1400 watts into it. It's not going to hold it. So Swami Vivekananda was on the verge of it, so he was still able to hold it. But the experience that he says, how do I feel of becoming a whole. Suddenly when you realize it, Sadhguru himself has written his experience down. So when you see all these experiences, you realize what kind of experience a person undergoes when he gets enlightened. I don't know Deva, so why are you crying, Urva? Let us express our gratitude to Urva. Because of his dialogue, we are getting this experience. I don't know Deva, said Urva in a constricted voice as tears streamed down his cheeks. And I don't want to know the whole and the fraction, the complete and the incomplete. I have been studying the patterns around me all my life. I have been trying to understand why all this is so complicated, but it is not. It is so simple. You have explained it so beautifully, Deva. I am so grateful to you and to the poor soul of Anita, whose sufferings have provided the basis of these talks. In this chapter, I am reading from the middle actually. So Anita is a character who Lord Hanuman shows when they close their eyes. He shows her life to them. So she was very rich. Now she has become impoverished because of some reasons. And she is living a life in abject poverty where she doesn't know where the next meal has to come from. And lenders are knocking on the door. And she has to still put up an appearance. That house, which was a bungalow, it doesn't even have the basic amenities of fridge now. So he's able to show them, and then towards the end of this book, he shows how he is able to bring her out of this and immediately transport her. So you remember, okay, to some of the new listeners, you may not know that there is this tunnels. We are in the space-time. We are experiencing space-time because we are all in this tunnel. Okay, on this tunnel, it's a white tunnel where there are scenes. This is a scene. This scene is already there and it is moving. The tunnel is moving. We are stationary. Just like how the world is rotating, the planet is rotating, right? So like that, the tunnel is moving. We are stationary, but we feel the illusion of time that we are moving forward. That is the illusion of time. So in that case, he says that these are all scenes which are happening, and he is able to move Anita's life from this tunnel to a different tunnel, which is another possibility in which she is rich. So there is a moment in which her mind collapses, and Lord Hanuman creates such a scenario to happen, and in that momentary collapse of mind, Lord Hanuman is able to transport her to that another reality, and in that reality she is rich and everything is going well. That is why I keep telling you that you don't have to really desire for your life to become good. All you have to do is ask for Lord to be connected to the Lord, and so imagine. So what the Mathangs ask is, what happened to her, that other tunnel? So Lord Hanuman says that other tunnel is gone. Now it has been shifted to this tunnel, and the entire scenario of her and the lenders knocking on her door, everything is now irrelevant. It is not there in the existence at all. So there are many atheists and many people who do not believe in God. And that's why in the end, all the Mathangs ask Lord Hanuman one thing, that it is such an ungrateful job to be a god. It is not just one god, there are so many gods, and all the gods are working for the welfare of humanity, welfare of human beings. So this is an absolute change when happens, which means that all that reality that was happening in this tunnel ceases to exist, and it moves to a parallel tunnel where there is a different reality. So now imagine if it has happened in my life or in your life. Maybe you were living a life in a different tunnel where you were miserable, but by the grace of God you have been moved to this tunnel, and you have absolutely no memory that you were living in another tunnel where your life was miserable. that entire tunnel is gone. It doesn't exist. So that's why they are crying. The Matham tribesmen, they are all crying, thinking that how God is always working for human beings. And we don't even know. We don't even know. Because what he creates is an absolute change. When there is a relative change, one aspect changes, the other aspects are the same. But in an absolute change, everybody's memories also change. Which means with that we have no memory recollection or that even the existence of the event that we were in the other tunnel.
I have a question for you. You said gods are working, agreed. You said gods are working, agreed, but that situation is also created by them, no? Since if this is created by them, that is also created by them.
So it is created, everything is created by one, the Paramatma, right? But the thing is that we have brought ourselves into a situation. So how did that person create that situation of being in abject poverty? Is by borrowing. The business went bad, they kept borrowing, and all of those circumstances happened.
But wasn't that already created for that person?
True, there is no doubt about it. It was created. That was written in that person's karma. But through the grace of God, it happened that ceased to exist and this came. See, there are a lot of things that in this world that you have to undergo, which will be because of your karma and desire. If your character and the soul occupying that character has to go through some difficulties in life, it will happen. But if you are, the key here is to be connected to God, because you don't know what else you would have lived. We don't know that. What else you would have lived? That is something that is oblivious, that we are oblivious to. I hope you are able to understand this. It's a very relevant question what she has asked. If you ponder over it, it is a very, very relevant question. That is also created. The God created that also for us. Yes, that is very true. God also created. It was not God, it was our karma and desire. See, I'll tell you a story again. There are two kinds of people, okay? The first kind of people, the first person, two friends actually. So the first friend, he is from a rich family. He has all the success. In fact, success came and touched his feet. No matter what he looked at, the success was there for him, waiting for him. He started a business became a success. He married a very good, well-natured, well-charactered wife. Wife gave birth to a son. All of this came to him. He did not have any time, because there was so much happening in his life, to do bhakti. Even when bhakti was there, he told God, thank you for everything, and he kept going. There was no real bhakti in him. Then the other friend realized that it is not going to happen. I mean, why is it that he had successive failures? So he became a thief. But he became a devout thief, which means every time he would go out to steal, he would pray to God, he would give Archana, Homa, everything to God, saying, please ensure that this is a success. Right? Now, God ensured that the thief became successful. Okay, now there are two things to be thought about. What happened in the first person's case was his karma from previous births that supported him. What happened in the thief's case is his karmas from the previous birth did not support him. However, he prayed to God to make him successful in this. So God he listens to you when you pray to him with a lot of devotion. He says, for in Lord's eyes, nothing is good, nothing is bad. Whether the person is doing that is also the same. Whether the person is thieving, stealing is also the same. But there are consequences of actions. So he says, you asked for my support to take you up in a wrong way. I will take you up in a wrong way. But from there, it is your soul which has to deal with the karmas of your consequences of the actions that you are committing. From there he will drop you. Don't ask me what will happen over there. That karma you have to suffer.
So God will give whatever you ask.
You ask, but then he will drop you from there because that is you have chosen it.
Correct.
So there were different reasons, right? Even in this case of Anita, she created those circumstances. Why? Because business was not working. Even I started a company, it did not work. I realized my risk. I moved away from it till a time where I could repay. So whatever was there, the liabilities that I had borrowed, I repaid. I did not go on borrowing because thinking one day it will work. I know maybe it will work, maybe it won't work, but this is my capacity. After this, I do not have the capacity to take risk anymore. Stop it. Done. Repaid all the debts, came out. So that is now who created that circumstance for Anita when the business was not going, and again going on in the hope that it will work, going on taking risks. She created it, right? So that's the difference.
The greediness, you can say in business, greed will be there.
Greed will be there, then hopeless desperation will be there. You will lose your mind thinking that I will take one more risk. It's like gambling, right?
Gambling, yes, yes.
It's just like gambling. I will take a risk in the hope that it will work. But do I have the capacity to repay or not? I'm not going to look at it. If I win, I will win big. If I lose, my life is gone. But it is not just your life, it is your entire family and everybody who's connected to you. I'm so grateful to you and to that poor soul Anita. Let us also express our gratitude to Anita, because of whom we have understood this story, whose sufferings have provided the basis of these talks. I now understand why she is suffering. I wish she could listen to these talks. I am also grateful to the shiny toys, which is mobile phones. So the Mathangs have a very, in the beginning they have a fascination as to what these toys are that mainstream human beings are continuously hooked onto. Okay. I am also grateful to the shiny toys invented by the mainstream human beings. Because of them, I could understand the concept of Linga code so clearly. I wish all your devotees from the mainstream society could access these talks. Why just the devotees? Let all souls find a way to access these immortal talks. Save your tears, Urva, said Lord Hanuman. We must throw more light on the phenomenon of choosing a character. Is a character something portioned out of the ball of space-time, like a slice is cut out of an apple? No, Deva, replied Urva. Nothing is cut out from the whole. The whole is the whole. Some of the young Mathangs looked uncertain. Kalandaka spoke for them. Let us express our gratitude to Kalandaka. If nothing is cut out, how does a character come into existence? Lord Hanuman replied, use the analogy of the infinite sheet to visualize it. To enjoy the patterns woven into an infinite sheet, you don't have to cut a piece out of it. You can simply come close to it and choose to see a small limited area. Similarly, a soul can choose to get attached to a portion of the white ball of space-time and experience the emotions resulting from the incompleteness. Currently, your soul has chosen a portion that is known as a human. Who can tell me the limitations that define a human being? Deva, human beings can only hear a very Urmi and Urva spoke at once, so that their voices entwined in perfect harmony. They looked at each other and smiled. And then Urmi spoke for both of them. Let us express our gratitude to Urmi. Deva, we human beings can only hear a minuscule portion of the sound frequencies that are available out there. For example, we can't hear the sounds of the elephants that they make to talk to each other. Their frequency of sound is so low for our ears to detect. We can't even hear the high-pitched sounds made by bats. I think even cats can hear more sounds than us. Think beyond bats, cats and elephants, Urmi, said Lord Hanuman. You can't even imagine how many sounds are floating around you right now. Your ear can pick up only a small range of sounds. What would happen if I expanded the range of your hearing capabilities? I would go crazy, Deva, said Urva before Urmi could speak. I would start hearing creepy whispers and terrifying screeches. I would definitely go crazy. A minimal expansion would make you lose your mental balance. Yes, agreed Lord Hanuman. A radical expansion, however, would make you deaf. It's like trying to expand a water jug made of clay. In fact, this is the experience that Swami Vivekananda describes. It's like trying to expand a water jug made of clay. Any attempt to expand it would just shatter it and make it lose its identity. Your ears are just like jugs that scoop up a little sound from the ocean of sound surrounding you. There is a limit on how much sound you can fill in them per second. That limit is what makes you a human being. Same goes for the range of your vision. What would happen if I expanded it? Again, Deva, I would go crazy, replied Urva. I would start seeing strange figures around me, shadows, ghosts, spirits. I would probably start seeing the air as well, and other things that are normally invisible. Reminds me of that Bruce Willis movie, Third, Lucy as well. Then there is what is that? Third something, no? Bruce Willis movie.
There was a series also on this, I don't remember the name, where time dimensions and everything is there. 2-3 series are also there.
Really? And of course, I would go blind if the range of my ocular powers were expanded radically. Too much light would start entering my eyes per second. Same goes for your capabilities of smell and taste as well, said the immortal Guru. You can't imagine how many smells are just floating around you right now. Thankfully, your nose has a limit to what range of smells it can detect. Similarly, there are tiny particles of matter filled in your mouth. Thankfully, your tongue can't detect what they taste like. Else you would go restless and ultimately ague sick. You didn't mention the ability to touch, Deva, Urva pointed out. Same goes for the range of things that you can feel with your touch, said Lord Hanuman. Just as there are very low and very high sounds that your ears can't detect, there are very soft and very hard objects that lie beyond the range of your ability to touch. Extremely solid particles, which are tinier than atoms, are passing through you right now. If you could feel them, they would feel like a million tiny arrows piercing every inch of your skin. And then there are extremely gaseous objects around you. You would start colliding with them if I increase the range of your ability to sense things by touch. The experience would certainly make you lose your mental balance, and a radical increase would kill your sense of touch altogether. Likewise, each of your ability has an optimal range between minimum and maximum. That incompleteness is what makes you a character, a human. You are but a small portion chosen out of infinite ball of space and time. Our food intake also has an optimal range, Deva, said Kalandaka excitedly. There is an upper limit of food intake beyond which our body starts malfunctioning, and there is a lower limit which our body can't sustain. Of course, an elephant's range of food intake is different from that of an ant. Speaking of food, said Urmi, our empathy too has an optimal range. We empathize with other animals, therefore we don't kill and eat them. But we don't empathize with them so much that we stop consuming honey and milk produced by them. Lord Hanuman corrected Urmi. You have defined Mathang range of empathy. There are human beings who kill animals and eat them. And there are human beings who empathize with animals so much that they don't even consume milk and honey. What would happen if this range of empathy is altered? If empathy is lowered further, you might turn into a cannibal. If it is increased further, you might turn into a monk voluntarily fasting to death. A monk that considers it a sin to even consume air because it contains microorganisms. One, our ability to walk too has a range, Deva. We have a minimum and maximum speed. How slow can one go and how fast? There is a certain limit, argued Urmi. Human beings can build vehicles to overcome limits, interjected Kalandaka. Urva countered, even machines built by humans have limits. Even our imaginations and assumptions have a limit. We might imagine a vehicle that travels with an infinite speed. That would mean such a vehicle is not bound by time. That can't be true. Everything is bound by time because everything is inside the structure of time and space. Only the nothing is free from time and space. Why can't the things be free from time and space? Just freeze the time here and now. Things will exist when the time is no longer there, will they? Correct, no? Everything will stop moving, yes, but everything will still exist, right? Wondered Kalandaka. What is the definition of a movement? Our ability to detect movements around us also has a range, said Urmi. We can't detect objects that move extremely fast and those that move extremely slow. Our eyes can't see atoms or molecules and the movements within them. So what do you mean everything will stop? Even if large objects stop moving around us, there would still be movement inside their atoms and molecules. And hence we can't imagine objects that are even smaller than atoms. Human beings can't build instruments to see things that are so small or so large that we can't even imagine them. Urva supported his fiance's argument. And what do we mean by stopping time? A unit of time can be indefinitely small. By stopping time, do we mean slowing it so much that a second becomes a year and a day becomes a several millennia? In that scenario, there would still be movement, albeit so slow that we won't be able to detect it. In such a scenario, we wouldn't be able to see the objects as we know them. We would see something else or maybe just a blur, said Urmi, expecting a nod of agreement with Urva. But he responded with a blank expression. Urmi explained her statement. Because it takes time for rays of light to reach our eyes and then the brain takes time to process the visual data, by slowing time, you are slowing this process. If the process is altered, how can the final image projected on our brains remain the same? The objects would appear differently in such a scenario. And objects would completely disappear if there were no time, said Urva brightly. The rays would never reach our eyes in the absence of time. The brain would never complete its process. That means that we won't see anything. Same goes for our abilities of hearing, tasting, and so on. We won't be able to feel objects in any way. We would see a blank, flat screen. We would see the fluid of space as a whole. That means even though all the objects are out there in space, we can't see them without elapsing time. Urmi attempted to complete Urva's sentence. Exactly, said Urva. Even to a stationary object, time is needed. Without time, I am blind, deaf, dumb, and devoid of senses. I can see nothing, hear nothing, I experience nothing. Without the phenomenon of time, I stare at a flat, blank, white mass that is space. Yes, Lord Hanuman graced the conversation at last. Without time, space is unlimited. The strings of time can cut through space and create portions which are known as characters. A soul has to choose a portion to experience the wonders of space. How to choose? Simple. Start sliding upon the strings of time which run through the entire space like a cobweb. So we have explained this, that it is the universe is a ball. It's static. We think it is moving. Nothing is moving. It is just space-time tunnels that are there. And when we start sliding on the strings of time, we experience a portion of this entire ball of space. To choose a portion called human being, a soul has to slide upon the 7 strings of time. In other words, a human being is a portion of space existing in a 7-dimensional mold of time. This portion, like other portions, strive to become whole, not realizing that it's incomplete by definition. This tendency creates varied emotions. A soul can experience these emotions by simply getting attached to this portion. Of course, all 7-dimensional portions are not the same. Each one is unique and has a unique history full of its attempts to become whole. That history data is called the Linga code. To get attached to a particular portion or character, a soul has to put on the Linga code of that character. That is not much of a problem. As soon as the soul touches the springs of time, it automatically gets the Linga code of the character enclosed therein. We have read about this in detail in other chapters. I am thirsty, Deva, said Dhanushka inconsequentially. What should I do? If I drink water, I would be doing my body's bidding. When I am suppressing my thirst, I am still doing my mind's bidding. In both cases, my character chooses the next scene of my soul. How can my soul independently choose its next scene without getting influenced by the character? How can I distance and disassociate and detach from my character? It's easy to dissociate from the character, isn't it? Asked Lord Hanuman. Yes, Deva, I'm pretty much dissociated from my body right now, said Dhanushka. I'm watching my body craving for water. But dissociation from the body is followed by a strong association with my mind. I can't tell how active my mind is right now while it is struggling to suppress my body's thirst. Thoughts are zooming like mad honeybees. Lord Hanuman said, your body is but space portioned by time. Your body is nothing but space portioned by time. It is incomplete and striving to become complete. How? It detects the matter that is within reach of its senses. Right now, your body is seeing coconuts and fruits kept in the basket. It is smelling the smells produced by the fire ritual. It is listening to my voice. It is feeling the touch of the ground beneath you. Out of all the physical things that are within reach of its senses, it feels the coconut water can somehow complete it. At any point in time, your body has some objects in its sensory range that promises to complete it. Every moment, your body wants to either add some matter to itself or wants to discard some matter from itself. For what? Just to become a perfect and complete body. But a body can't become complete, Deva. It's in constant need of consuming or discarding something. If it drinks water now, it will become thirsty again after a couple of hours. And the breathing cycle is even shorter. This moment I'm taking in fresh air, the next moment I'm discarding waste air. Hair, nails and dead skin are coming out of the body every moment to be ultimately removed from it. Rays of light are being absorbed by the skin constantly. There is no such thing as a complete body. Even ignorant human beings understand that. Who makes you understand that? Asked Lord Hanuman, and went on to answer himself. Your mind. Your mind knows how the body works. It knows that your body's attempts to become complete are foolish. That is why it's easy for you, with the help of your mind, to dissociate yourself from the body. When your body is thirsty, you can easily be like, oh body, you're thirsty, not me. Then you can watch your body from a dissociative point of view as it quenches its thirst. Your mind exposes the foolish attempts of your body to become perfect and complete. But who will expose the mind? Your mind understands how the body works. But who will understand how the mind works? Your mind helps you dissociate from the body. Who will help you to detach from the mind? What is mind actually? Wondered Urmi. The head, the brain, that's what the mind is, isn't it? Guessed Kalandaka. The brain is not the mind, stated Lord Hanuman. The brain is just a communication bridge between your body and the mind. The mind is invisible and intangible. Your senses can't detect the existence of mind. Let me show you how the mighty mind would look if it were visible. Urva, please stand up and stand inside the sacred fire. All the Mathangs gasped. But Urva didn't so much as flinch at the thought of entering the fire. There was nothing to fear when the immortal Guru was there to protect him. He stood up at once, fixed his gaze at the source of his fearlessness, and walked gracefully into the red fire, which was emitting white smoke at the center of the holy hemisphere. He felt icy flakes beneath his feet, not burning twigs. The freezing sensation traveled to his head and numbed it. He couldn't feel anything above his neck anymore. His fellow Mathangs saw, with their mouth agape and breath forgotten, that his head opened like a blooming tulip flower, and out came 4 brain muscles which stretched in 4 directions like thin tree roots. At the same instant, 4 bodies of shimmering, intangible matter having the shape and size of Urva's physical body appeared in 4 directions. The outstretched brain muscles acted like 4 bridges connecting Urva's physical body to his 4 mental bodies. With this, we complete the chapter of Incomplete. The next chapter we will read is called the Invisible Four.
Is mind an illusion? No.
Sorry?
Mind an illusion? No.
Mind is not an illusion because mind is unable to grasp the illusion. What you're seeing around you is reality, right? But it is an illusion. Who is interacting with this illusion? Your mind. Your body and mind. So in the next week, we will read about what are the 4 invisible mental bodies. This is a mind-blowing, pun intended, mind-blowing chapter, and it will give you a tool to keep seeing which part of your mind is interacting with all the circumstances which are every day, every minute, every second in front of you. It is a tool. So with this, we complete this chapter. And thank you everybody. Thanks to Lord Hanuman for giving us this knowledge.